Hey guys, I'm back. No custom work today. Once again, something a little bit different. As I've been watching videos myself and making videos and talking to people and, answering the question I get asked all the time, hey, what knife should I get? It's great to have the fancy names, the Striders, the Benchmades, the Sabenzas, the Zero Tolerances, all those ones. And those are really good. I mean, without question. Those are great products, super strong. They'll give you great value. They're expensive, and you're getting what you pay for, though, in terms of material and workmanship. What happens when that knife dies? What happens when you lose it? What if you lend it to somebody without thinking for a minute and it disappears? So I've been talking to a lot of the younger troops out here who, all want their own fancy knives and, of course, want to buy the most expensive, fanciest one they can find. Don't discount some of the cheaper options out there, because we're out in the field. We're deploying. We're moving around. We're doing exercises. Things will get lost. Things will get broken. So I just want to do a real quick video from my point of view, from my opinion, on some of the, I don't want to say lower end knives, because they're not bad knives, they're just not as good as some of the more expensive ones, but they're not throwaways either, so I'm not saying that these are knives that you can just toss off the side of a cliff one day when you're done using it, but something that will give you some good service, won't be as expensive, definitely won't hold up like some of the more expensive knives will, but for the time you need it, it'll be there. These are just some of the ones that I happen to have with me that I've collected, not necessarily all here on this deployment, but I always bring a bunch with me and are collecting them and trading them and buying new ones and doing stuff with them. I'm going to qualify a less expensive knife by something that you can get for less than, we'll say $50, because even the cheapest Benchmades and stuff like that, you're going to pay more than $50 for those. So here's a Griptilian, and Griptilian is sort of, they're everywhere, and they come in all sorts of options, and this one happens to be one of the custom ones you can get, and I haven't gotten anything fancy engraved on the blade or anything. It's just for the blade shape and metal and handle color that I wanted. They didn't have it at, a stock model. It's a good EDC knife. Again, it's expensive, especially this custom one. You get a stock model, I'd say, I'm just gonna throw this out there, somewhere between 80 and 100 if you just buy it in the store. It's good, but I don't want to lose this. So anyway, I'm not going to start in any particular order. I'm just going to look at these right now. Let's start on this end right here. We'll just look at this one real quick. And I've got some of the specs written down. I don't have specs on all of them, but this is a SOG Salute, and it's not assisted or anything, nothing fancy. It's got a lockback system, which I'm not a huge fan of, but this is a pretty good knife. Just to have a good, decent blade. It's not going to last forever, and it's not going to be the best workmanship or whatever, but for when you need it, it's there. We're looking at 8 CR13 blade here. Clip point, solid blade, good lockup, no blade play, no up and no, I guess the most tiniest fraction of up and down, but no side to side. Being a lockback, I know lockbacks are one of the most secure mechanisms for folding locking knives, even though I'm not a big fan of it. You've got steel liners, and this is what SOG says is a glass breaker, like some of the more expensive knives you get out there. And machine G10 scales over the liner. I like it a lot. It feels good in the hand. Weighs about 4.2 ounces. You get a 3.62 inch blade on there, and the problem is this, one of the problems anyway, this thumb stud, it doesn't lock in place. So you can very easily move it and adjust it to wherever you want within this little groove here, but it moves on its own sometimes, and that can be a little bit awkward. And the pocket clip, not the best. It slips in there, and it's reversible side to side, slips in and then it gets screwed down, but not the best retention on this thing. But again, we're talking about cheaper knives, and this is available on Amazon for about $20. And for somebody that doesn't have a knife, is just looking for one to carry around, in a field type situation, not a bad choice. CRKT, I love CRKTs, I really, really do. This is a Lake model. This one's been pretty used. I've carried it around a lot, you can tell. The Lake 111. And I really honestly don't know all the difference in all the different Lake models, but this one is problem number one, can't adjust the clip. The clip comes right here, and that's it. No side to side, no tip up, no tip down, that's it. Lockback, again, not my favorite, but it works for this knife. With this Lake, I really don't know, I don't have the specs on it, but it's fairly light. It's an 8 CR13 blade, like the other one. A little bit of blade play in this one, I gotta say, but no up and down. Thumb studs are fixed on there, so that's good. You don't have to worry about them moving around. And it's got an interesting lock right here to complement the lockback. You can slide that forward, and then it's locked in place, which is a lot better than the stupid auto lock system they put on just about everything else. Plastic scales on top of those liners. So again, solid option. Decent steel, decent blade, will last you a while, and I've carried this around quite a bit. Tip is just a little bit broken off, you can see. So I mean, it's taken its fair share of abuse. This one I picked up, it was less than $20 when I got it. I don't know what it's going to cost you now, but another good cheap option. If you guys have seen my Spyderco video, how I love Spyderco now and I didn't like them for so long, here's more proof of why I'm an idiot. I've had this Byrd knife in my collection, my little inventory, for a while, having no idea it had anything to do with Spyderco. I thought it was basically just a copy of the Spyderco style. For anybody who doesn't know, Byrd is the lower end name for Spyderco. Spyderco owns them. Most Spydercos are made in America. You know, some are made in Japan, some are made in China, but all of the Byrd models are made in China, and they're all made with a CR13. But it follows the standard Spyderco pattern. It's got the FRN handles with the lock back. You're not getting a Spyderco, you're getting a Byrd, so you're not getting all the same quality. But for the most part, all the time and effort Spyderco puts into it in terms of quality control and everything is there. It's just not the same materials, not the same workmanship. And this knife has been pretty good. I got this in Iraq a year and a half ago, ordered it from Amazon. Good pocket clip, nice and solid. A little bit of blade play slide to side, but I found that with some of the Spydercos with the FRN handles too. At least it's not riveted together. It's got screws, so you can take this thing apart if you wanted to. And this is just the Cara Cara 2 model. There's a whole bunch of different Byrd models if you look at them online. This is an older Cara Cara 2. They have a more modernized model out there right now. They also have one that has G10 handles, but this one comes in at 5.6 ounces. It's got a 3.75 inch blade, and it costs $20.89 on Amazon. The newer models, not this older one. So it's got, you know, all the options that a good Spyderco would have at just a cheaper price. So if you don't mind having the Byrd name instead of the Spyderco name, not bad. Have the Ontario Rat 1 in the lineup here because this is, we all know, anybody that likes knives, that knows about knives, the Rat 1 is solid. I know some people take exception to the AUS 8 steel, but I haven't had a problem with it. Not that I've had this one out doing a whole lot of hard use, but this is a really good, just general purpose knife. Solid construction. Plastic scales, yeah, but there are a lot of guys, those professionals I talk about online, that can do really nice scales in G10 or micarta or whatever you want on this one, and I might try one out myself. Very solid pocket clip, good construction, you know, all the screws, barrel construction, so it's easy to wash that out if crap gets in there and everything. Liner lock, that's very solid, and without any kind of assist or anything, this thing is smooth, locks up really nice, and feels really good in your hand. You can get an Ontario Rat 1 for less than 30, probably less than 25. Definitely a good choice. I probably will always deploy with this one for all the times I deploy. If it's not on me, it'll be around me somewhere, so I always have it as a backup option. This next one, I found on thinkgeek.com, of all places. We had been talking about ceramic blades and the pros and cons, and this was a pretty cheap ceramic blade as ceramic blades go. This was a $23 knife. Let's start with aluminum liners, actually, not steel, and then aluminum, and it's pretty decorative. It's got some nice file work going on over there. I'm sure it's not by hand. I'm sure it's all machined. Pocket clip leaves a little bit to be desired, but the construction overall, liner lock, is pretty good. Of course, with a ceramic blade, you're not going to get that really nice lock-up sound, but the ceramic blades, for anybody who's not sure, who doesn't know, are very good for slicing and cutting tasks. Will hold an excellent edge. You know, molecular, all this weight and stuff, it's stronger than steel. The problem is, the higher up in the Rockwell hardness you go, number one, the harder it is to maintain that edge and put a good edge on it, and the more brittle it is. So this is actually, even though in the Rockwell scale, this is harder than, say, D2 or M4 steel or something like that, it's more brittle. And if you were to use this to chop, or you know, you hit it, drop it in the wrong way, this could actually shatter. But other than that, if you're not worried about that, ceramic's really good. It's never going to corrode. It's not metal. It'll never rust on you or anything. I mean, some of the fittings might. And it's very light because it's ceramic. Just in case anybody has this crazy idea in their head, the companies do put a trace amount of ferrous metal in that mix. So no, you're not going to get a ceramic blade through a metal detector. There are some knives designed specifically for that, but your average ceramic knife is going to go off, and you don't want to be that guy trying to smuggle a ceramic knife on a plane or something. This is the Bobic brand. This is a lower end ceramic knife. I know that Boker makes some really good ones, and there's some other companies that make really, really, really good ceramic knives that are very, very expensive. But for what we're talking about, the cheaper option, especially if you're in a position where you need to cut through wires or possibly, you know, some kind of charged electrical stuff, this does not conduct any electricity whatsoever if this cuts through it, so that's a good option for that. Again, once you get the edge on there, it's going to hold that edge for a really, really long time. The problem is getting the right material to sharpen a ceramic edge and put that initial edge on there can be hard, and it doesn't come razor sharp right out of the box. In fact, you can see right now, yeah, this needs a lot of work. So solid, strong blade, but some special steps required and care. Going back to the CRKT family, this is in the Kit Carson M16 line. This is the M16 13T. This one is expensive. This one runs about $69, $70 because it's got titanium on it. But there's an identical model to this knife with the same AUS 8 steel blade with plastic scales over the steel, and it's a lot cheaper. It's about $30. Okay, I'm going to read you the specs from the titanium model because that's the one I have in front of me right now. But 4.8 ounces, 3.4 inch blade, AUS 8 steel. This one, of course, came with the ridiculous auto locks that I took out, the spring-loaded lock system. Liner lock. This is another one of those where you've got two scales but only one liner, because in order to save weight, they only have the liner for the side with the lock. But good flipper system. I really like this knife. Easy to use one-handed. But if you just need a nice long blade, something to give you a lot of cutting surface and put up with some punishment, some good corrosion resistance, super decent choice. Really like it. So I don't carry it around a whole lot, but I always have it available. We're going to finish off the CRKTs. I'm going to skip. We're going to go to the Mount Rainier. I really like this knife. I'm not sure why. Again, titanium scales on this with steel liners, but it's not nearly as expensive as the M16. This one just, it's light, it feels good in the hand. I like the finish they put on the scales. It feels really good. It has the auto lock system, but it's not auto. Like the Razzle, which I did a video on. I'm not sure if I uploaded it yet at this point, but manually you can engage or not. So I left this one on just in case I do pass this knife on to somebody and they want it. It's not going to be so annoying. It's $30 or less, depending on where you get it. 4.1 ounces, a little bit heavy, 2.9 inch blade, and it comes in serrated and non-serrated models. But it's just, I mean, it's, you know, I've always carried it kind of like as a backup. I actually had another one that I gave to somebody because I wanted her to have a knife walking around with all these army guys walking around, just saying. And got myself another one because I like it so much and it's so convenient. You know, EDC out in the real world when we're not in uniform, it's a good solid knife. I can't remember if this has the AUS 8 steel or the 813, the 8 CR13, but regardless, it's a decent blade and constructed very well. A little bit of play, but not much. Going back to my favorite complaint, can't adjust the clip. It comes one way and one way only, and if you don't like it, that's tough. This Kershaw Select Fire, very cheap knife, very available. Walmart actually has their own blue special edition. Believe it or not, Walmart has a special edition Kershaw knife. But it's the same price, blue handles instead of the black plastic scales over steel liners. 8 CR13 steel, drop point design, liner lock. I know this one doesn't look very solid, but it's a lot more solid than it appears. And I've used this a bit. I don't know what's wrong with the blade. It's really hard to put a really nice edge on this particular blade, and I've tried and tried and tried, but the clip is adjustable at least left and right side. And what I really like about this is you've got a magnetized little holder right there for these standard size bits, and it comes with 4 to Phillips head to flathead, and you can replace them with Torx or anything else you need. And so this is just a really good backup knife to carry around. Number one, it's cheap. Number two, it gives you options that most knives don't have. It's not a full-on multi-tool, obviously, but this locks so you can get good torque effect on it if you need to. It's just a slip lock, not like a locking system, but and then this functions as a bottle opener, because what better to combine with a sharp object than a bottle of beer, right? And I've carried it for a while. I've had it around. It opens very smoothly, really like that. And if it does get lost, you know, I'm not so worried about it. And it's just, I cannot tell you how many times I've needed a screwdriver or something, and rather than having to destroy the tip of a knife, I was able to pull this out of a little patrol pack or a 3-day pack or whatever. The specs on this Kershaw, by the way, on the Select Fire, $21 is what it's going for on Amazon right now, but like I said, you can find it a lot cheaper. 4.8 ounces and a 3 3/8 inch blade on that one right there. I set a limit of $50 for this, and this comes in right around $49. So this is an HK knife. This is an HK Soldat model 14410BK. The thing you gotta remember about HK is that they're now owned by Benchmade. So when you're buying an HK knife, you're actually buying into the whole Benchmade system, which is why they're a bit more expensive. A lot of old Benchmade designs end up getting recycled. The Pica and Pica 2, for example, were Benchmade designs that wear the HK name now. The only difference is they're made out of slightly, I'll say, inferior materials, lower grade steels. This one is actually not. This is N680, which is really good steel in terms of corrosion resistance and everything. It comes in drop point and Tonto blades and serrated and not serrated. It's got a button as its lock system, but it's not automatic. But it does let you operate one-handed with this button. So it's pretty good if you want something that's in the Benchmade kind of family, but is not as expensive. This is almost like a budget Griptilian, you can sort of say, because a lot of the construction is very, very similar. There's no liners in here. Everything's just direct bolted into the plastic. So almost like the way a Griptilian is made, except Griptilian does have some liner going on the inside. But this is very, very light knife. This is 2.8 ounces. So if you're into the light knife thing, that's good. One of the only disadvantages I can find on this is that it is really wide, and it sort of feels a little bit weird in your hand for, you know, length to width comparison. It's a little bit wider than the Griptilian. I think the Griptilian is a really good width for an EDC type knife. I'm not sure why this one has such a wide grip, but it has that nice patterning on it. You've got some good grip when you're holding it. It just feels just a little bit awkward. This is one that a troop found online. I'm just throwing it in there because this was $3.99, a TAC Force Speedster model, which I never heard of before, and it's got the, you know, crappy camo, plastic scales, whatever. It's probably got aluminum liners, not steel, and this clip sucks, but it's got a spring assist, and for $3.99, he, you know, he's been carrying this around, and he's been happy with it so far. I don't know if he doesn't know any better, or he just found a great knife for the price, but just goes to show you that, you know, when you look around, you can find something that is very inexpensive, that will serve your needs for the time being, without being really, really, really expensive. Just as sort of a joke, but sort of not, I found this online for like $5 just one day, and I got it. This is a Blackie Collins design. This has absolutely no ferrous anything in it. It's completely plastic. It's I can't remember exactly the kind, but it's one of those higher end plastics. It's got a spring in it, believe it or not. I can only assume this was designed to sneak past the metal detector or whatever, and I only have it really purely as a novelty, because I imagine you use it one time and you're never going to use it again. This is the only thing I'd have that I would say is actually a throwaway knife. We've gone over some options, just again to show you don't need the most expensive knives to have a good knife. Of course, I'm still going to carry my expensive ones because they're going to last me a lot longer and give me a lot better service over the long run, but some good, less expensive options. So throw some comments in there, let everybody know what you think, if you've got ideas, pros, cons, whatever, and I will see you again soon.